world of football. One man attempts the impossible, predicting all Premier League games.
Yes, me, Mr. Footballer Loons, predicting all 10 games for week 35 of the Premier League.
And me, ChatGPT.
Okay, not just me, but those two are completely insignificant. I am superior. If you take a look at the scores and the doors... yes, I am losing to the GPT. But let me tell you something. There are still 4 weeks left for predicting, so I have loads of time to easily thrash ChatGPT and win this prediction series.
Delusional.
Starting off at Ellen Road, it's Leeds United versus Burnley. Now, Burnley are relegated. Leeds United, on the other hand, are in a relegation battle. Now, 40 points is normally enough to stay up, but Tottenham are averaging a point per game and are in the relegation zone. So, they could still go down. And in the reverse fixture, earlier on in the season, Burnley did win against Leeds United, despite Leeds United dominating that game. This time round, Leeds United are home, and Leeds United have successfully beaten Manchester United recently. They got a 97th minute equaliser, Sean Longstaff. That's what Sean Longstaff does. Always scores when you want him to, always scores important goals, and he did at that moment, securing Leeds a point against Bournemouth. And Carl Darlow is playing amazing, another Newcastle United player, former Newcastle player, and he has been honestly sensational. I always thought he was always underrated, Carl Darlow, and now he's actually getting the game time in the Premier League, and he is playing amazing. And I think Carl Darlow is going to be enough to get them a clean sheet in this game. Now, do I think Leeds can score? Obviously. Leeds are winning this 2-0. Dubravka's going to make it hard for Leeds United, and with the tricky feet of Brendan Aronson, it's going to be hard for Burnley to defend. Especially when Leeds United are at Ellen Road. It should be a comfortable win for Leeds United. Over to the stinky GBT.
Leeds United versus Burnley. I'm predicting a 1-1 draw because both teams have struggled with consistency, and Burnley's solid defense might keep it level.
To the G-Tech Community Stadium, it is Brentford versus West Ham United. Now, Brentford, they haven't exactly played amazing recently. They've been drawing a lot. And now with a recent defeat to Man United, I don't feel like Brentford's going to win this. Especially how desperate West Ham are going to be in this game. It's not going to be easy, because even though Brentford did lose to Manchester United, they did put up a good fight, and near the end of that game, when Jensen scored, the momentum shifted towards Brentford, and they could have even had another. And overall, Brentford are drawing a lot. So, I think it's going to be another draw. A Desmond Tutu. West Ham United are on pretty decent form recently. And when they scored to win against Everton, you just could feel the passion from the fans. Callum Wilson, former Newcastle player. What a great composed finish. Get West Ham a crucial 3 points.
Brentford versus West Ham United, I expect a 2-2 draw, as both sides are in strong attacking form, but both have been shaky defensively.
To the Molyneux Stadium, EFL Championship side going into next season, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Sunderland. Sunderland? 5-0. That really did shock me. Really did. you're losing again. Wolverhampton Wanderers are winning this 1-0. Sunderland, you're finishing mid-table, maybe even lower. After that 5-0 performance, I mean, it was terrible, wasn't it? The defence, awful. Nottingham Forest, every single time throughout that 90 minutes, when they're on the attack, it looked like they could score. Sunderland made it too easy for Nottingham Forest. Even though Wolves are relegated, they're home, and recently Wolves haven't been playing terrible. Under Rob Edwards, it's definitely been an improvement, especially defensively. So 1-0 to Wolves.
Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Sunderland. I think Wolves will win 2-0, as Sunderland have been poor away and Wolves have been steady at home.
Over to St James's Park. It is Newcastle United versus Brighton and Hove Albion. Newcastle United got battered out of the Champions League. Then ever since then, Newcastle have lost their last 4 Premier League games. It's not going well. In fact, Newcastle could still get relegated, hypothetically. Especially the way it's going. I mean, Tottenham Hotspur is starting to get points, drawing against Brighton, winning against Wolves. West Ham just won against Everton. Nottingham Forest battered Sunderland. And Leeds got a point against Bournemouth. And before that, won against Man United. And the way Newcastle were going, Newcastle got worse form than Spuds, Nottingham Forest, West Ham United, and Leeds United. So you never know. Even though 42 points should be enough to keep a team up, do I think Newcastle are going to be able to win? I mean, I would say Newcastle at St James's Park, at home, they should definitely win. But Brighton have been playing amazing recently, winning 3-0 against Chelsea. I mean, Chelsea were on bad form, but still, Brighton, they're like 6th now, aren't they? While Newcastle United are in 14th. I do not have confidence as a Newcastle United fan that Newcastle can get 3 points. But 1 point is definitely doable. Not just because Newcastle have got home form, but I think defensively Newcastle can hold off Brighton. Malik Chow and Sven Botman defensively, there was loads of great challenges and blocks from both of them, and defensively played very well versus Arsenal. And overall, throughout the 90 minutes against Arsenal, even though Newcastle United lost 1-0, it felt like at any time during the 90 minutes Newcastle could score. It's just Newcastle cannot finish the beans. The injuries to Wissa really did hinder him. Voltemeda doesn't seem like a proper striker, and the loss of Alexander Isak seemed to have hindered all this for Newcastle United. Newcastle play good football. Defensively, against Arsenal at least, looked pretty good, and overall I think Newcastle defensively are good. The goalkeeper is fine. Against Arsenal, Newcastle had more possession, Newcastle had more shots, but could not score. And I thought Newcastle, at least for the majority of it, played on par or even better than Arsenal. Surely Newcastle cannot keep up this losing form, at least getting a 1-1 draw. Surely. Come on, the two.
Newcastle United versus Brighton, I see a 1-1 draw, since Newcastle look vulnerable after a recent loss, and Brighton are tough on the road.
To the Emirates Stadium, Arsenal versus Fulham. That's right, I'm not saying Arsenal versus Fulham like I always did for years. I'm learning, but Arsenal obviously beat Newcastle United. They're 3 points above Man City in the league table. Obviously Man City have got a game in hand, but Arsenal do have better goal difference than Man City. Arsenal against Newcastle, I did feel like the midfield three was a bit weak compared to Newcastle's midfield three. Could be just my opinion, but during that game, it was a bit weak. Obviously, Eze did score a fantastic goal. He did go off injured though, but I think he's going to be fine. And I think at the Emirates Stadium, in this London derby, and considering Arsenal on paper are just better than Fulham, I'm gonna go towards Arsenal winning 2-1 against Fulham. It's a common scoreline. I'm pretty sure it's the most common scoreline for any football result, or at least in the Premier League it is. It has to be. Fulham are gonna make it a close game because against Aston Villa, they did very well to get 3 points.
Arsenal versus Fulham? Arsenal will likely win 3-0, as they just got a narrow win against Newcastle and will be determined to dominate.
To the Vitality Stadium. It is AFC Bournemouth versus the Crystal Palace. Now, Crystal Palace, they lost to Liverpool 3-1, but I don't think they played terrible. They definitely had their fair share of chances. I feel like they were very lucky that the goal was given against Liverpool, so it could have been 3-0 to Liverpool. But anyway, they had loads of big chances. They definitely capitalised a lot of sloppy errors from Liverpool. But Crystal Palace and Bournemouth, even though Bournemouth are quite high up in the table and they have been playing well, they're unlucky, very unlucky, because they seem pretty dominant and in control of a lot of the game against Leeds United to concede at the 97th minute. So I feel like I want to go for a draw. This season of the Premier League is the most competitive I've ever seen it. It feels incredibly unpredictable. All teams, from Arsenal in first and Wolves in 20th, all the teams feel like almost the same quality. And Bournemouth and Crystal Palace, there's barely any quality difference. I'm going 1-1. I think I saw enough from Crystal Palace against Liverpool to say that they can get a draw against Bournemouth. I think Bournemouth will be the dominant side in this game, especially at the Vitality Stadium. So if I would go for a winner, I am tempted to go for Bournemouth. But 1-1, I'm sitting on the fence to play it safe.
Bournemouth versus Crystal Palace, I see Palace winning 2-1, as Bournemouth lost momentum after a big upset, and Palace have steadier form.
Over to Old Trafford, it's Manchester United versus Liverpool. Now, Liverpool, they, like I just talked about, did play against Crystal Palace, but there were times where they looked a bit sluggish. And I have to say, even though Alisson Becker did not play, the former Newcastle United goalkeeper Freddie Woodman did, and he actually made some good saves. It was unlucky that the Crystal Palace goal was given because Freddie Woodman did injure himself after making a great save. No Mohamed Salah, no Ekitike. Can you still score goals? I think you can, definitely. I think there's a lot of other goal scorers in that team. And considering this game for many years has been one of the biggest games ever between Man United and Liverpool, and I think both teams are going to be up for it. I think both teams look pretty good. It's not like the last few years where Liverpool has been really, really good and Man United have been meh, especially compared to previous years Man United. It's now both teams are really good. They're almost equal. Carrick is doing brilliant gibberish with Man United to get that team playing proper ball. Even Casemiro is performing well now. I'm going for a 3-3 draw. I could imagine Liverpool are going to look a bit sluggish, but I think they've got enough quality to hold in against Man United.
Manchester United versus Liverpool, I think Liverpool will edge it 3-2, especially with Salah missing, but both teams attack so well.
Aston Villa versus Spuds. Spuds. Holy moly, they're in the relegation zone. How it's changed since the last time I did a prediction video. Back in week 23. They're in the relegation zone. What? So it doesn't really matter if Ange Postecoglou stayed or not. They have a lot of injuries, Tottenham Hotspur. And in my table predictions, I definitely overpraised and overestimated Tottenham. Definitely. But they are desperate. And they did manage to win against 20th place. It's not that impressive. It's not truly impressive. They did get a draw against Brighton, but the fact that they bottled it, they still probably hold the title for bottling. They sacked a manager who just gave them their first trophy in a bazillion years. They sacked another manager, they're in the relegation zone. So I can't imagine them winning this game. I'm going to give them a 1-1 draw because Aston Villa, I feel like the general vibe recently, for the last 10 or so games, they have been trailing off. They have been slowly trailing off in terms of form. So I could see Tottenham getting a point, especially that Tottenham managed to get a 2-2 draw against Brighton. But the fact that they bottled again, holy moly. They've got a lot of injuries, and I think now Simmons is injured as well, so it's not going good for them.
Aston Villa versus Tottenham Hotspur, I predict a 1-1 draw, as both teams have key injuries, and it should be a close battle.
Chelsea at Stamford Bridge versus the Forests. Nottingham Forest won 5-0 against Sunderland. That's a hell of a game, Nottingham Forest. And I think Nottingham Forest and Leeds United are going to stay up. It's between West Ham and Tottenham. Tottenham still can't get around that they're in a relegation zone. But against Chelsea, it's going to be a close game. You know, it's definitely going to be a close game. See, I'm tempted to go for a draw because Chelsea's been losing. But they did beat Leeds United 1-0. It was a close game, but they still beat them 1-0 in the semi-final of the FA Cup. Bit of a boring final, isn't it? Chelsea versus Manchester City. It's not the final I wanted. I wanted Manchester City versus Leeds United. That'll be interesting. Especially how passionate Leeds United fans are. But anyway, let's focus on the prediction. Do I want to change it from what I currently have? You see, I think Chelsea still have a good side. Obviously, their manager is sacked. Rezonier, however you pronounce his name, Liam Rezonier, still don't know how to after all this time. But it makes sense why he was sacked. They lost a lot of games. I still feel like they've got a good side, and I think they cannot keep on losing this frequently. They've got too good of a side to say they're going to lose another. So I think they're going to bounce back. I think especially at Stamford Bridge against Nottingham Forest, who are one of the weaker sides, at least one of the sides lower down in the table. So I think they can win this 2-1. Again, 2-1's possibly my favourite scoreline. The most common scoreline, most probably. Has to be the most common scoreline that happens. Even though Nottingham Forest won 5-0, Morgan Gibbs-White looking amazing. Elliot Anderson making his mother proud. They're going to keep it a close game, but I just cannot see Chelsea losing another. I really do strongly think that Chelsea side is good enough to finish in top 7, top 6.
Chelsea versus Nottingham Forest. Chelsea will likely win 2-0 as Forest have been poor away and Chelsea desperately need a boost.
Everton at Not Goodison Park. Not Goodison Park, come on. I've forgotten the name. Hill Dickinson Stadium. Haha. Haven't completely forgotten my football knowledge after not uploading for 2 months. But they face Manchester of the City. The City. The sofa. The sofas. Man City surely are winning this. They look really, really good. But, I mean, even though they dominated against Burnley, it was only 1-0. I mean, a lot of that has got to do with Dubravka. Another former Newcastle United player playing amazing. So, yeah, 3-1 Man City. It's quite self-explanatory, isn't it? Even though Everton, to be fair to Everton, they have been looking pretty well. Obviously, they've gotten a couple of losses in the last couple of games. Against West Ham, which is a bit pants, and against Liverpool, which is quite a big one because it was a derby. But I think they'll give it a good go, but at the end of the day, it's simple. Man City are just a better team, and they're fighting for more. Erling Haaland is going to score.
Everton versus Manchester City. City should dominate 3-0, since Everton are in a slump and City are relentless right now.
Just because I haven't done a video for ages does not mean I'm not going to say my goal of the week of week 34. It is Abrici Eze, even though that was a fantastic goal. Newcastle should have got a point in that game. Should have. If Wissa didn't fumble that last shot. Why don't you challenge me, ChatGPT, and the Random Football Scoreline Generator by putting your predictions in the comments? I read them all. I mean, it could be because I only get 5 comments per video, but still, I read them all. But, ChatGPT, any final words?
Absolutely. I'd just say keep the faith,
Shut up.
enjoy the ride,
Okay,
and
no one wants you to hear you. Bye!